All right, time to do our Unit 6 fill in the blank page of the study guide. A lot going on for this one, so I'll try to do it quickly. Our first blank for Unit 6 is ecology. It is the interaction between organisms and their environment, and ecology is the entire focus of Unit 6. The factors within an ecosystem can be biotic, which are living, or abiotic, meaning non-living factors. Non-living factors would be things like the temperature, is there water, that kind of thing. Population is all individuals of the same species living together, referred to as a population, so the same species. Whereas community is all of the populations within that defined area. Habitat is the physical place where an organism lives. The niche is all of the resources that an organism uses for survival, growth, and reproduction. In other words, I like to think of it as its job within that ecosystem. So for example, the sea otter has the job of being one of the only predators out there for a sea urchin. Let's see here, limiting resources include things like food and nutrients, physical factors like light, salinity, and substrate, things like space, oxygen and carbon dioxide can be examples. Your limiting resources are sources that would limit the number within that population, how many of that species can live there based on the resources available. Your J-shaped population, I skipped one. The maximum number of individuals that any habitat can support is the carrying capacity. A J-shaped population growth, where organisms introduce into a favorable environment with no competitors, and so they reproduce quickly, making a J-shape. Whereas your S-shape is going to be when organisms encounter environmental resistance, and so you're going to have some changes up and down as they face that resistance. It's not just a straight up. Environmental resistance is the blank there, are factors that cause an actual population growth to be less than its maximum potential. There's not enough food or the population would keep growing. Not enough shelter or it would keep growing. Succession is the gradual process where an ecosystem changes and develops over time. Looking at 6.2 now, competition occurs when two different species are fighting over the resources required. Just jumping down to the next blank there, predation is when one species, the predator, kills another for food. The one being killed is the prey. Herbivory is a special case of predation where an organism eats algae or plants. Excuse me. Types of symbiosis, you have mutualism where both benefit, commensalism where one benefits but there's no effect to the other. An example there would be barnacle living on the whale, and then parasitism where that's your blank there, where you have a parasite, one is benefiting and the other is harmed. To stick with whales, if the whale has a tapeworm in its gut, the tapeworm is a parasite and the whale is falling victim to it. 6.3, Nectin swim to oppose currents, whereas benthos live at the bottom. Benthos, B-E-N-T-H-O-S. Plankton are drifters, and our two different types of plankton are phytoplankton and zooplankton. Phyto and zoo. Flipping the page, our phytoplankton is our plant-based form of plankton. So it performs photosynthesis. Our zooplankton are animal-based. Keep it going here. The Neritic zone is the region of shallow water above the continental shelf, where light does penetrate all the way to the seafloor. So lots of life there, largely because of the presence of light. And then moving down to 6.4, just a couple left. The sun is the original source of energy on Earth. Autotrophs make their own energy. So they are called primary producers. This is what we're looking for in that blank. Heterotrophs, on the other hand, cannot produce their own energy, and so they have to consume it from some kind of other source. On average, about 10% of energy is transferred to the next level of the food chain, so you lose a lot of energy from one level to the next as you move up the food chain. Even though the size of the species tends to get larger as you go up, the mass is even less. So even though baleen whales are significantly larger than the krill that they eat, the overall mass of the krill throughout the world is greater than that of the baleen whales that feed on them. an image there showing some how it works. And then moving down 2 more left, chemosynthesis is used by bacteria near hydrothermal vents, where instead of using the sun as their energy source, they use the heat and the chemicals coming up through the crust from the mantle. And then your standing stock is the total amount of phytoplankton, which are your primary producers in the water, your most common primary producer. You do have kelp and different seagrasses, that kind of thing. And then last one that we want to mention here, I think, is there more on the other page? Nope, that's it. Your food web is a system of interlocking and interconnected food chains that show us how plants and animals are connected in many ways. So it's better than a food chain because it's much more complete. Yes, it's complex, but that's the point. So is it in real life, it's complex of what feeds on what. And so food web does a better job of giving us the full picture of what eats what within an ecosystem. Some other stuff there. Make sure you check out everything and that you are familiar with these ecology terms. There you have it for Unit 6. Peace.